Participants. As we mentioned before, we are going to see the options we have in participants when we configure a task. But we are going to learn first the options when the participant is an employee. We will learn about the rest of the possibilities in the following block, although we will mention some here. Functions of the task administrator. They receive different communications which are important for the process performance and development. They will receive tasks if the performer is absent and has no substitute. Emergency. When the performer is in a situation they don't know how to solve, they can click on the emergency button that appears in the task action bar, and a window with a text editor will appear to add any text. When clicking Send, the participant selected here will receive the notification task. If no participant is indicated for the emergency, the system will send it to the responsible of the class or process. Substitute. Whoever must perform the task if the performer is absent. The absence must be indicated in the employee record. Let's see now the executor in more detail. Once we have the executor of the task, in which order will the participants be? For example, the task is gonna go to the executor, to the appointed performer, okay? And if this one is absent, then it will go to the appointment performer substitute. And if this one is absent too, then it will go to the administrator. The participants can be people, roles, employees. Emergencies. In emergencies, we have the one we chose here, okay? And if this is absent, it will go to the emergency substitute. Okay? If this is absent too, then it will go to the administrator again. They can be process administrator, of the class, etc. If an employee is absent, it must be indicated in the employee record. This can be done manually or with an absence management process, sick leave, holidays. How does the absent option work? The motor that keeps the task flowing will send the task to the appointed performer, to his workflow. And if he's not there, it will go to the substitute, okay? When the employee returns, the task will disappear from the substitute's workflow unless they have been already claimed. Let's go now to see the possibilities of the appointment performer. The first option we have here is direct or supervisor. Direct means that the one we choose will be the person that will act on it. If we select supervisor, the appointment performer of the task will be the supervisor of the option we have selected here, okay? We have some options here. Administrator of the class of task, only if we appointed an administrator. Start message creator, the one that has started the process. If the process was started by an anonymous, external or guest user, this option won't be available, okay? Employee, if the performer of his task must be a specific employee, when we select this option and click on the viewer that appears, a window will be displayed to select the employee. Role, if the task execution must be assigned to a specific role. On selecting the role option, there is the possibility to establish if the role is a singular or generic one. Panel, we can select a general field or a group of fields. If it is a general field, it will have to be a field that allows me to have an employee. For example, family elements, type of field, employee prefix, dictionary roles. Here we have some options we haven't seen yet. This field must have been filled in a previous object, so when the current flow reaches the task, this field has a value. Okay? If the field is a column in a group of fields, one task will be created per each line in the group of fields, or a unique task will be created for all the lines of the performer. From another task, a window will be displayed to select a task. Here there is an option, assignment with load balancing, that only applies to employee groups with executive behavior, not delegable, and delegation discretional. We will see this in more detail further on in the course. This functionality can be applied to personal tasks. When configured as yes, the BPM motor will assign the task to the group user with fewer tasks of the class pending in the workflow, excluding the absent employees, of course. Let's suppose these employees have tasks from this type of task. Okay, so if another task arrives, it's going to go directly to the employee with fewer tasks, that in this case is Anna. We have a last option when configuring the appointed performer, the notification option. When we configure the appointed performer, we also have the option to select if we want some notifications to be sent. We can configure it so a task is sent to the workflow of the employee, but also to the email account, phone via the Aura Portal app, or an alert by SMS. Let's see some examples in the application. So if we go to structure and the class of processes we are working on, and personal task, here we have the performer of the class of task as the administrator, but I'm going to change it to an employee, and it's going to be AP2. Save and exit. As for the participants, okay, I'm going to have appointed performer. I'm going to have AP2, AP1. And the emergency is going to be, instead of the administrator of the class of processes, it's going to be the administrator of the class of task. Save and exit, and save and exit. And now we can go to start a process. So start process, demo gateways and tasks. Let's add a date, task, and here I'm going to add subject. I'm going to put administrator and start process. This task goes to AP1 and Achille. Okay, as I chosen as the appointed performer, so I'm going to create an emergency now. Okay, so I'm going to add emergency administrator of the class of task and send and save and exit. If I go here, I can see that I don't have the emergency task, and this is because it has been sent to AP2. So we need to log in as AP2 now and go to my tasks, and we can see here the emergency. We can see here administrator. Okay, so we're just gonna finish it and go back to AP1. Now I'm gonna go to structure, the process again, and I'm going to select the performer of the class of task as the administrator. Save and exit. Let's have as appointed performer AP3, Elsa Navas, and we can see that we have here two roles, commercial director and auditor. We need to choose one, okay, because it's going to go to the role, not to the person. So I choose this one, save and exit, and let's go to start another process. Start process. Let's add date here, task, and subject. I'm going to put direct to AP3. Start process. And if we go to reports now, we can see, okay, that the personal task has been sent to AP3 Elsa Navas. So we have configured it correctly. let's go back to change the process again. Let's go to the personal task. Okay, and here, instead of direct, I'm gonna put supervisor. Here, as we can see, we can add a grade, and it goes from 1 to 50. But I'm going to leave it like that. I'm gonna leave the option employee. I'm gonna leave AB3, commercial director. Okay. Save and exit. Save and exit. If I go to structure and employees, I can see the employees family tree. Okay. And if I go here, I can see that Elsa Navas is here and here. As commercial director, AP4 is the supervisor. But if we chose Elsa Navas as auditor, the supervisor will be David. Okay? So in this case, we chose this one as commercial director, so the supervisor will be AP4. So let's go now to start a process. So let's add the date, task, and in subject, we're going to put supervisor and start the process. We return to reports. We can see that the task has been sent to Elsa Navas as commercial director supervisor, which is AP4, okay, as we saw 1 second ago. Let's see now what happens when someone is absent. So for that, we're going to go to structure. Okay, and I'm going to select AP3 as the appointed supervisor. I'm going to choose direct now. Okay, save and exit, and I'm going to change the appointment performer substitute to AP2. Okay, so now AP3 is the appointed performer and the substitute is AP2. Right, save and exit, and save and exit. Now we need to go to families of records and employees. Go to AP3, okay, and select absent, and save and exit. If we go to start a process now, and I'm gonna call it task to substitute, start process. And now if we go to report, we can see, okay, now we have here personal task, Elsa Navas is absent. Okay, so we will go to its substitute. Okay, that in this case it was AP2. Now that we have seen several examples, let's move on to see another important option, the notification option. So let's go back to structure now. Processes, demo gateways and tasks. And let's go back to the personal task one. In here, I'm going to leave start message creator as the appointed performer. And if I select by email, okay, I can see some options here. Okay, we just need to configure a few more options. Who is the addressee? It could be the performer's email, okay. This will be the email the employee has in his record, so it will be sent there. Panel or manual. If we choose manual, we will have to add an email, okay. And if we choose panel, we will have to select a field. In this case, we have the email one, so it's the one we're going to choose. Then we have text body. Again, email subject, we can choose manual or panel. I'm going to choose panel again, and subject. Here we have the reference, okay, base reference, extended reference, do not display. We have this option, text body. We can add whatever we want. In this case, I'm going to add example of a task sent by email, perform from the email. So I can do this from the email, okay? If I want to do this from the email, I need to go here. Panel, I can add here fields from the panel that contain information, okay? I could choose them. Or text, which will give me a link, okay? This link will allow them to go into the task. Here, I can also add documents, etc. So save and exit, and let's go to start another process. My tasks, start process, and let's add the date. This time I'll choose task with event, and I'm going to call it task with event, and start process. So we can see we have received the task, okay, and we could complete it from here and finish it if we wanted to. But let's go and see if we have received the email. So if we go to inbox, and we can see here, okay, how we have the email, we have received it, okay, and we have the link here to complete the task. So we could go here to finish it, or we could go back to the task and finish it there, okay? Can you see that we could finish it from here? So this will be all about participants when we only work with the employee option. We will see the rest of the options further in the course. Now is your turn to do part 5.